Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. It's a Vlogmas in July 2021, day 26, which makes it a Q&A Monday. So if you want to see my answers to some of your questions, please stay tuned. We're on the second part of the question and answer session where you guys have asked me questions and I'm going to answer them on camera right now. I am excited because number one, I got my camera fixed. I went and got the correct SD card, and so now it's ready to rock and to roll. So here we go with question 1 for today. The JoAnn contest results. Last year, JoAnn Fabrics had a grant for Black crafters, and I entered. Unfortunately, I did not get a grant this time. What they did was they chose 20 of the submissions and gave them each $5,000 in JoAnn money. And so, like I said, I did not get chosen to get one of the big grants, but they did send out a gift card to all the participants. And so, you know, that was really nice of them to do that. Let's see. I think I will enter. If they have another one, I think I'll enter again just to see what happens. Question 2. Is anyone else interested in quilting in my family? As of right now, I don't know of anybody who's interested in quilting. As far as I know, I'm the only one in my generation who's doing it. My youngest son, Cameron, if you've been following my channel for a while, he used to upload and edit my videos. He was interested in quilting for a little while, and he did make a quilt top. I think I'm going to show his video as this week's Throwback Thursday. I haven't decided yet, but I think that's what I'm going to do. He has a quilt top that he's made. Actually, he had one quilt that he kind of made, and I finished quilting it for him. And then he has a quilt top over there and a backing fabric, but I won't touch it because it's his quilt. So if he chooses to finish it, that's fine. As of right now, I have not touched it, and I don't plan to touch it, but we'll just see how it goes over the years. The next question, this is number 3 for today. My first quilt, and I actually pulled it for this video. Last week, someone asked how I got started in quilting, and I talked about my son's quilt, and so I brought it. He actually just went back to college, but this quilt doesn't go to college. I found it was up in his closet, folded up under a stack of other covers. So this is actually not the first quilt I finished. It is the first quilt that I started, because it took me like 7 years to get it finished. But here we go. Let me see. I don't know how well you can see it. So it is partially hand quilted, partially machine quilted. Actually, I think this one is mostly hand quilted. I'll go a little bit closer because I tried to do some free motion and it was a terrible tragedy. But I'll let you get close to this one. It's all these blue fabrics, and like some of these are decorative fabrics. These fabrics here, they're from decorative samples, and then any other blue fabric that I found. I don't know if you can see my hand quilting there, but it is mostly hand done. And then let's see, the back is just a solid piece of blue, and here you can really see where my free motion was not up to snuff, and that's okay. So this is my son's quilt. Like I said in the other video, it did take me about 7 years to finish it, but that's because I was working on other stuff. So here it is. It is, I guess it's in okay shape. I don't know. Okay, but he does keep it stored. He doesn't take it out. It's just stored for right now. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Number 4 for today. Oh, my ironing board. So someone asked if my new ironing board, if I had made it myself or if I bought it. It's actually the, I guess I'll go take a video of it so you can see it. It's the Better Home and Gardens ironing board that I got from Walmart, and it is a little bit wider than a regular ironing board. And so I didn't make it myself. I actually purchased it at Walmart. It's a really good ironing board. I get my pressing done a little bit faster because I have more surface area to press on. So that's a nice, it's a nice ironing board. I'm enjoying it so far. And it does have a rest for your iron, and then it has like a shelf at the bottom too, which is really interesting. So again, it's a Better Home and Gardens extra wide ironing board from Walmart. Next question. This is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 5. This Q&A is going a little bit faster. Tools that are not considered quilting tools that I use. If you follow my channel for any amount of time, you probably already know what these are. I looked through everything and thought about everything, and I came up with 2 that are definitely not quilting items, but that I use all the time for my quilting. Let me pull them right here. One is my graph paper composition book. This is what I use to design a lot of my quilts. So before I got the composition book, I was using just regular graph paper. I would like make it on Microsoft Word or whatever, and then fill in my design there. And I still have some designs that I've done that way. I recently got a giant stack of graph paper like this big, so I'm really interested to see what kind of designs I can come up with that. But this is the book that I designed. Let's see. This one, what did I design in here? My Bargello, and I have some different ideas for it. And like I just did a lot of planning for the Bargello here. And then like everything for the Bargello is right here in this book. And then here is where I actually drew everything out. I also have, and it's upside down. I don't know how that happened, but it's upside down. But my Polly and Esther quilt, I drew out here. And I'll link that one in the comments below. This is one that I made from 2 panels that my grandmother made, that she started, and I finished it out. Let's see. What else is in here? Where I designed the extension of the baby Bargello quilt. That's another one that I can put in the description. You can go back and check that out. I designed my son's volcano quilt here. And then I have, this is kind of my design for my coin quilt. And then behind it, there's a few other ideas, but I haven't fleshed those out yet, so they're still in progress. But I love using my graph paper composition book to design because it gives me the squares that I can kind of work with. Another thing that I use is my very fancy project storage, which is just shoe boxes from my kids who have all of the shoes and they have giant feet. So I get some decent sized storage boxes. I have all of my UFOs in a storage box. I also have several of these boxes full of scraps and crumbs. So it's a good use, a good way to reuse. So I think this is good for the planet. I don't know. But yeah, so my graph paper and my shoe boxes are the 2 main things that I'm using right now that are not considered, or not for quilting, but I use them for all of my quilting stuff. Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay, I got a question about if it's better to press seams open or to press them to one side. And I would love for you to put your input in the comments, what you think about this dilemma. I typically press to one side. I just prefer it. And usually this is a choice of your personal preference. I don't think there's any better or worse way. I've heard that the seam is going to be a little bit stronger if you press it to one side. But I have seen where people press them open and the quilts seem to be okay. The only time that I press open primarily is when I have tiny half square triangles. I'll press those seams open, and usually I'm going to trim the little half square triangle down anyway. So, but typically I press to one side no matter what my project is. Okay, let's see. Here's another question. Let's see what number we're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Question 7 is, have I ever entered a quilt into a quilt show? The answer is no, I have not. However, this is my year. I think I'm going to enter 2 quilts into a show that's going to happen in October. So like this week, I got to get everything together so that they can be entered. But it's my first time ever entering a quilt show, and I'm excited about it. One, because I'm going to plan to go out of town to see my quilts hanging in the show, and then maybe I can win a prize. I hope so. That would be really cool. And if I do, of course, I will share it with you. Actually, whether or not I win a prize, I'll share that whole experience with you on YouTube. I have one more question that I'm going to answer because I saw this on my list. And then if you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments. I would love to answer them. Maybe if I get enough questions, I can do another Q&A session. We'll just see. My last question is about the memory bear patterns that I use. I have 2 that I recommend, and both of them are on Etsy, so I'll link those in the description box. The first one is the 9-piece bear pattern. It's from the Make a Memory Bear shop on Etsy. And this is the one that I use. I use these pattern pieces to make my bears. They are very easy to use. The bear finishes at about 18 inches tall. And so it's small enough that you can get it done quickly, but big enough that you get a decent sized bear. So that's one of the patterns I use. And the other pattern that I've made before is the 2 Nannies pattern, and I think the shop is Stitches by 2 Nannies. I have to go back and look at it and make sure. But this pattern, it makes a little bit bigger bear, about a 22-inch bear. Excuse me, but it's really easy. And what I like about this pattern the most, the 2 Nannies pattern, is I like the instructions better. So what I did was I always use this pattern, the Make a Memory Bear pattern, because I mostly make the smaller bears, but I like these instructions to follow. The reason I like these instructions is because they add some stay stitching that is not in the other pattern. And it makes a big difference when you're putting everything together. The stay stitching really helps in the very specific places that this pattern says stay stitch here and here and here, and it makes everything go together a little bit better. So I do like this. I like these instructions better, but I like this pattern better, these pattern pieces. Okay, so that is the end of this week's Q&A. If you have any more questions, as I said before, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for following my Vlogmas in July, and I'll see you next time. Bye!